I never thought the man who taught me to throw a curveball would curveball me straight into hell. That text from Dad hit my phone like a sucker punch at 2 a.m. I disown you. Talk to my lawyer. No, love you, chaser. No explanation, just a digital guillotine slicing through 30 years of blood ties. And in that split second, as my screen glowed in the dark motel room off I-90, I decided, fine, old man. Let's lawyer up. But mine's gonna bury you alive. It started 6 months earlier, back when I was still playing the good daughter in our family's gilded cage. Chicago's North Shore isn't forgiving to strays. And I was the ultimate stray, Peyton Hale. The black sheep with a trust fund and a rap sheet that wasn't even mine. Dad. Harlan Hale. Built Hale Industries from a scrap metal yard into a logistics empire that shipped half the Midwest's freight. Trucks rumbling like thunder. Warehouses stacked to the sky. He was the king of the haul, with a penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan and a Rolodex of politicians who owed him favors.
Me?
I was the daughter who dropped out of Northwestern after one too many incidents, the one who partied too hard to forget the whispers. But blood's thicker than bourbon, right? Or so I thought. The betrayal didn't come with fanfare. It slithered in like exhaust fumes from one of his rigs. I'd been crashing at the family estate in Winnetka, nursing a hangover from a gala where Mom, God rest her, cancer took her 5 years back, would have rolled her eyes at the small talk. Dad called me into his study that rainy Tuesday, the kind where the lake wind howls like it's got a grudge. Peyton, sit, he said, not looking up from his desk. Papers everywhere. The air thick with cigar smoke and that cologne he wore to board meetings, something sharp, like betrayal distilled. He slid a folder across the blotter. Sign this. I flipped it open. Affidavits. NDAs. A confession drafted in legalese that pinned a felony embezzlement on me. 2 million skimmed from a subsidiary account, funneled through shell companies I'd never heard of. My signature was already forged at the bottom. Sloppy but convincing. What the hell? Dad. My voice cracked like cheap crystal. He finally met my eyes. Steel gray and unyielding. It's for the family.
Kiddo.
Auditors are closing in. You take the fall, plead out. Do community service. I'll make it worth your while. Offshore account. Fresh start in Miami. You'll be 25 with a beach house. I laughed. A bitter bark that echoed off the bookshelves lined with first editions he never read. You're asking me to confess to your crime? Turns out, it wasn't asking. Harlan Hale didn't ask, he orchestrated. The money?
Yeah.
He'd siphoned it to cover bad bets on crypto and a mistress's divorce settlement in Vegas. But the feds were sniffing, and I was the perfect patsy, history of DUIs. A coke bust expunged thanks to his lawyers. Blood's blood. Pay, he said, leaning back in his leather throne. You owe me for cleaning up your messes. This evens the score. Owe him? That man raised me on stories of bootstraps and American grit, then expected me to strap on his noose. I signed, hands shaking like leaves in a gale. Pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor count. His fixers worked magic and got 18 months probation, plus a gag order that silenced me tighter than a vacuum seal. The press ate it up. Heiresses fall from grace. Society pages ran photos of me in cuffs outside the courthouse. Dad's stone face beside me. The grieving patriarch. Offshore?
Huh.
The fresh start, money never materialized. Just a one-way ticket to resentment. For 2 years, I played house. Moved to a crap apartment in Pilsen. Waitressed at a dive bar slinging IPAs to hipsters. Therapy sessions paid for by the scraps of my old allowance. Dad, he expanded the empire. Bought a yacht named Redemption. Mom's jewelry went to auction for charity. I buried the secret like a bad tattoo, under layers of fake smiles at holiday dinners, where he'd pat my hand and say, "Proud of you,
kid."
turning it around, lies stacked like his shipping containers. Then the text. I'd finally mustered the guts to confront him at a family foundation gala, black tie affair at the Art Institute. All crystal flutes and backroom deals. I cornered him by the Monet. Whispers of donors swirling like cigarette haze. Dad, the money you promised. It's been 2 years. And this probation's killing me. Can't even leave the state for a job interview. His face twisted. Not with guilt, but calculation. Like I was a faulty rig he needed to scrap. You're a liability, Peyton. Board wants you off the payroll. Clean break.
Clean break.
That's code for disownment in Hale speak. The gala blurred after that, champagne turning to vinegar in my gut. I Ubered to that motel off the interstate. The kind with neon vacancy signs flickering like Morse code for despair. Stared at the text till dawn, thumb hovering over block. But blocking Harlan Hale? That's like blocking a hurricane. Instead, I dialed a number I'd kept buried in my contacts, Elena Vasquez, public defender who'd handled my plea. Peyton, it's been forever. What's up? Her voice was warm, like café con leche on a winter morning. I spilled it all, the frame job, the forged sig, the offshore ghost money. I need a real lawyer. Elena. One who bites back. She referred me to Marcus Hale, no relation. Thank God, a shark in a silk suit from a loop firm that specialized in white-collar reversals. We met in a coffee shop off Michigan Avenue. Steam rising from our mugs like unspoken vendettas. Marcus was mid-40s, ivy polish with street smarts. The kind of guy who'd quote Sun Tzu while shredding depositions. This is gold. Peyton, he said after I handed over the folder copies I'd swiped from Dad's safe, digital forensics hobby from my board probation days. Embezzlement.
Forgery.
Coercion. We flip the script. You sue for defamation. Emotional distress. Hell. Even wrongful disownment if Illinois code bends that way. But we need leverage. What's his soft spot? Dad's soft spot? His legacy. Hale Industries wasn't just trucks. It was a web of contracts with the city, greased by envelopes under tables. Whispers of kickbacks to aldermen. Environmental shortcuts dumping runoff into the Calumet. Nothing proven. But Marcus's eyes lit when I mentioned the whistleblower emails I'd intercepted, anonymous tips from inside, forwarded to me by a cousin who'd ghosted after.
We go nuclear, he said.
Public. Drag it through discovery. Force a settlement or watch him burn. I nodded, heart pounding like a bass drop at a South Side club. Revenge wasn't a word I threw around easy, too Hollywood. Too trashy for a girl raised on the Great Gatsby readings. But this was justice wrapped in barbed wire. We filed the countersuit quietly. Peyton Hale v. Harlan Hale et al. Demanding restitution, annulment of the plea, and punitive damages that'd make his yacht look like a dinghy. Dad's lawyers, those vultures from Kirkland and Ellis, responded with a motion to dismiss, calling it sour grapes from a disgruntled beneficiary. Disgruntled?
Try daughter scorned.
The tension coiled like a spring in a semi-suspension. Holiday season hit Chicago like a freight train, lights strung across the magnificent mile. Turkey trots in Grant Park. Families bundling against the wind off the lake. Mine?
Fractured.
Aunt Lydia, Dad's sister, called with that faux concern. Peyton stirring the pot again.
Harlan.
Remember her phase with the activist crowd.
Phase.
As if tanking my life was a teenage rebellion. I ignored the voicemails. Focused on Marcus's war room. Deposition scheduled. Subpoenas for bank records. Dad flipped first, summoned me to his penthouse for mediation. Neutral ground,
He said. Bull.
The elevator dinged at the 52nd floor. Doors parting to marble and malice. Dad waited in the living room. Floor-to-ceiling windows framing the city like a snow globe from hell, first flakes dusting the skyline. He looked smaller without the boardroom armor. Just a polo and khakis, scotch in hand. Peyton.
Sit.
Let's end this madness. His voice was velvet over razor wire. The same tone he'd used to sell me on the plea. I perched on the edge of the Eames chair. Marcus's notes burning in my pocket like contraband. Madness? You framed me, Dad, for your screw-ups. Now you disown me like I'm yesterday's news?
He sighed.
Theatrical as a bad off-Broadway revival. It was protection. The feds would have gutted everything, your inheritance, the foundation. I took the heat off by shifting it to you. Temporary. Temporary. Like the 2 years of probation hell. The job apps ghosted because of my record. And the money? I pressed. His eyes flicked to the bar cart, lion coming. Wired it. Must have bounced. Market crash.
Liar.
Marcus had traced it, funneled to a Cayman account for his mistress. Now his fiancée. Some Botoxed exec from Dallas with daddy issues of her own. We talk circles, him painting me as the ingrate. Me laying out the paper trail. Then the flip. Drop the suit, and I'll reinstate you. Full shares. Board seat. But publicly. You apologize. Say, it was a misunderstanding. Apologize? For his sins? The room spun. Lake waves crashing below, like applause for my rage.
No.
One word. A grenade pin pulled. His face hardened. The king unmasked. Then you're dead to me. Really? He waved dismissal. Already texting his lawyer. I stormed out. Elevator plummeting like my illusions. But as the doors sealed, a text from an unknown number. He's lying about the protection. Check the basement safe. Your mom's letters.
Cousin Eddie.
The ghost returns. Mom's letters? She died suspicious. Accident with pills and wine. But Dad called it grief. Heart hammering. I detoured to the estate. Keys still under the mat. Old habits. Basement. Dust motes dancing in the bulb's glow. Safe cracked with a combo from childhood birthdays. Inside, not cash, but envelopes yellowed with time. Mom's handwriting, Harlan. If you hurt her like you hurt me, I'll haunt you. Hurt her. Pages unfolded a nightmare. Dad's affairs starting in '98. Mom's depression engineered. Pills swapped for placebos to keep her docile. Business deals that crushed competitors with whispers of sabotage. And me, born not of love, but leverage. Mom's family had shipping patents Dad coveted. The final letter. Dated a week before her suicide. Peyton's not yours. DNA test in the lining.
Tell her. Or I will. Lining?
I tore the envelope. Paper-clipped results. Paternity. Negative. I wasn't a Hale. I was a pawn in his empire game. Shock rooted me there. Concrete cold seeping through jeans. Not his blood. Every curveball lesson. Every proud of you. A lice scaffold on theft. The secret he'd buried deeper than bodies in Lake Michigan mud. I pocketed the letters. Drove to Marcus blind. Tears blurring taillights. We have him, I choked. The whole rotten core. Discovery ramped up, subpoenas flying like confetti at a funeral. Dad's team fought dirty. Character witnesses painting me as unreliable. Addicted. Unstable. Tabloids feasted. Heiress's vendetta. Is Peyton Hale unhinged? Protests outside the courthouse. Feminists chanting for me. Union truckers backing dads. Jobs created. Sides drawn. City cleaved. Marcus leaked the paternity twist anonymously. Headlines screamed blood or bust. Hale Empire's bastard secret? Dad denied it. Of course, called it forgery. Sued for slander. But the board wobbled. Stocks dipped like a bad pothole on Lakeshore Drive. He flipped again. Desperate. Late night call. Peyton.
Meet me.
The Drake Hotel. Neutral. Bring the papers. Neutral my ass. The Drakes all old money ghosts and doormen who tip off paparazzi. I went anyway. Wired for sound per Marcus. Lobby. Chandeliers dripping light like honeyed poison. Dad in a corner booth. Face gaunt. Scotch replaced by water. Image control. It's not true, he started. But his eyes darted like cornered rats. Your mother. She was unstable. Lies to hurt me. I slid the DNA across the tablecloth. Unstable or silenced. His mistress, fiancée now. Tara, waited upstairs. I knew. Eddie tailed her. The flip. Okay?
Fine.
You're not mine. But I raised you. That's worth something. Raised me? Like a show dog for his pedigree. What do you want? He hissed.
Money?
The company?
Truth, I said.
Public. And justice for Mom. He laughed. Hollow. Truth? That'll tank everything. Jobs lost. Pensions gone. You're no saint. Pay. Took the plea easy enough.
Easy?
I'd vomited after signing. Nightmares of bars slamming. But he was right. Gray areas everywhere. My hands weren't clean. I'd covered for his tempers. His business trips. The booth closed in. Tension thick as fog off the lake. That's when the real play dropped. Marcus's team had the emails. Dad's kickbacks to the mayor's campaign. Routed through my embezzled funds as cover. Federal wire fraud. RICO potential. Confess, I said. Or we hand it to the U.S. Attorney. His face crumpled. First real crack. You destroy us? Your family? Family.
The word tasted like ash.
You destroyed us first. He agreed. Tentative. A joint presser. Me recanting the plea. Him admitting the frame-up. No paternity bombshell, compromise. But as I rose to leave, his hand shot out, grip like iron on my wrist. One condition. Drop the feds. Or Tara walks with half. Half. The Empire halved for his side piece. Controversy incarnate. Loyalty to blood, fake, or love to his toy. I yanked free. Storming into the night. Horns blaring like Judgment Day. The climax hit 2 weeks later. Federal courthouse on Dearborn. Snow blanketing the loop in false purity. Press crammed the gallery. CNN. Fox. Local hacks with mics like spears. Dad and I side by side at the plaintiff's table. His lawyer droning motions to seal. Marcus countered. Your Honor. This isn't just civil, it's criminal conspiracy. Objection. Sustained. The air crackled. Divided gallery murmuring, truckers glaring my way. Women's groups nodding. No heroes here. Dad's empire fed families, but on bones. My revenge? Starving them for personal vendetta? Then the twist, the one that'd spark bar fights from Wrigleyville to Wicker Park. As the judge recessed, Dad leaned in, breath hot. I leaked your Coke bus to the board. To force your hand.
Leaked?
He'd planted it years back. Anonymous tip to HR after I found Mom's letters early draft. You were sniffing too close. Had to discredit you. My stomach dropped. The incidents, his orchestration, to keep me pliable. I was the fall guy twice over, first his crime, then my own curiosity. Rage boiled, but the gallery hushed as the bailiff called order. I stood, voice steady. Your Honor. I withdraw the suit. Gasps rippled. Dad's smirk, victory. But I turned to him, letters in hand, and I file new ones. For Mom. Murder 1. The room exploded, flashes popping, shouts. Not suicide. He'd swapped pills with fentanyl-laced fakes. Autopsy buried by his fixers. Evidence? Mom's tox report. Re-examined by Marcus's expert. Anomalies screaming foul play. Dad bolted. Cuffs snapped in the hall. Feds waiting. Tipped by my anonymous call.
Dada?
She flipped too, testifying for immunity, spilling the Vegas dirt. Empire crumbled. Board ousted him. Assets frozen.
Me?
Cleared on the plea. But the payout? Donated to Mom's foundation. Victims of domestic gaslighting. Happy ending? Streets buzzed with debate. Hero or homewrecker? I saved souls. But starved workers. Dad rots in Supermax. Writing letters I burn unread. Twist. Last one arrived yesterday. Peyton's mine in every way that matters. Blood or not. Hate's thicker. Chicago winters teach that, forged in frost, thawed in fire. But as I walk the lakefront now, wind whipping like Mom's ghost, I wonder, did I avenge her? Or just become him? The perfect surprise? It's the mirror staring back. Cracked but unyielding. The fallout from that courthouse circus didn't settle like snow. It avalanched, burying everyone in its path. Chicago's media machine chewed it up and spat out clickbait for weeks. Aristotle's tycoon. Justice or jealousy? Protests clogged Michigan Avenue. Blue-collar rallies waving signs like, Hail hired heroes. Not villains, countered by pink-hatted marchers chanting sisters over scales. I became the villainous du jour. Dodging eggs from truckers' wives at the Jewel-Osco and DMs from distant cousins begging for scraps of the empire. Marcus called it the American way, chew 'em up, spit 'em out. But in the quiet hours, nursing black coffee in my Pilsen walk-up, it felt less like triumph and more like trading one cage for another. Dad's trial prep dragged into spring, the kind where Lake Michigan thaws grudgingly, ice chunks floating like unanswered questions. I testified first, sworn in on a Bible I hadn't touched since Mom's funeral. The wood-paneled room smelling of old varnish and older grudges.
The Hamiris.
A bulldog with a mustache like a broom bristle walked me through the timeline, the forged plea, the offshore siphon, Mom's letters. MS.
Hale.
Did the defendant ever express remorse? His eyes bored in, gallery leaning forward like they could will a bombshell. Remorse? Harlan Hale didn't do remorse. He did revisions. Once, I said, voice echoing off the jury box. In the Drake booth. Said he raised me. That it mattered. Snickers from the back. Reporters tapping furiously. Dad sat there, in his ill-fitting suit.
No tie.
Cuffs hidden, but spirit chained. His flip, a nod to his lawyer, who objected on relevance. Sustained. But the seed planted, humanized him. Just enough to split the room. Jurors shifted. One, a burly guy in flannel, met my gaze with pity. Pity for me or him. Lines blurred. Cross-exam was a meat grinder. Dad's attorney, a silver fox named Whitaker, who'd golfed with presidents, painted me as opportunist. You benefited from Mr. Hale's largesse for decades. Isn't that true? Trust fund. Private schools. That little scandal swept under the rug. The coke bust, his plant. My albatross. I held steady. Benefited? He used me as a shield. For crimes. For control. Whitaker smirked. Control? Or fatherly guidance? You dropped out of college. Racked up arrests. Sounds like tough love to me. Gallery murmurs swelled. A woman in the front row nodded. Spare the rod. Spoil the child vibes. Controversial as hell. Was Dad a monster or a misguided patriarch? America loves its flawed dads. Think The Sopranos. But with semis instead of cement shoes. I stepped down. Legs jelly. Into the hallway scrum. Microphones jabbed like bayonets. Peyton. Was it worth it? Destroying your father's legacy. Legacy. Trucks idling in lots from Gary to Green Bay. Families facing pink slips. Eddie texted mid-fracas. Boards sold to Amazon Logistics. Jobs saved, but pensions gutted.
Saved?
Or sold out. I pushed through. No comment. Straight to a dive in Bridgeport for wings and whiskey. There. Over greasy napkins, Marcus laid out the endgame. He's flipping again, wants a deal. Testify against the mayor. Lighter sentence. But he names you as accomplice in the cover-up. Accomplice? To what? Signing his forgery under duress. Let him try, I snarled. But doubt wormed in. Dark and insistent. Nights blurred. Dreams of Mom. Pale in her hospital bed. Whispering he's not worth it. Not worth the blood on my hands? The Empire's fall hit suppliers hardest, small outfits in Joliet folding. Layoffs rippling to food pantries strained by post-pandemic scars. Protesters picketed my apartment. Peyton, princess of poverty. One sign lingered. What would your mother think? Spring bloomed bloody. Tulips in Grant Park mocking the mess. Tara testified next. Dad's ex-fiancée turned star witness. Her Dallas drawl dripping honeyed venom. Harlan was obsessed with control, she purred. Diamonds glinting under the fluorescence. The pills for his wife, he bragged, said it kept her quiet for the board votes. Gasps. But Whitaker spun it. And you took his money. His ring, until immunity sweetened the pot. Tara flushed. But held. I loved him. Till I saw the monster. Love or leverage. She flipped for self-preservation. But spilled enough to indict. Emails routing kickbacks through dummy core. One stamped with my initials, Dad's forgery. But sloppy. The jury ate it nods. Notepads frantic. Dad's turn. No tears. Just that steel gaze sweeping the box like he owned it. I built something from nothing, he boomed. Voice gravel and gospel. Peyton? She was my world. The plea? A white lie to protect her future. The money? Investments gone south. Lies layered like lake effect snow. Then the flip. The one that gut punched. But her mother. Ellen was sick. Suicidal. I tried to save her, doctors. Therapy. The pills? A mistake. Double-dosed by accident. Accident? Talk said otherwise. Whitaker leaned in. And the paternity claims?
Dad's pause.
Theatrical. Doesn't matter. She's my daughter. Always. Galleries split audibly, sobs from Mom's old friends. Cheers from his old crew.
Me?
Numb in the witness room. Watching on a grainy feed. Always? The man who'd texted Assignment at 2 a.m.? Marcus gripped my shoulder. He's playing you. Last gasp.
But was he?
Flashes. Little League games. Him cheering horse. College tuition wired without a word. Monsters aren't born. They're built. Brick by betrayal. Had I torn down the good with the bad? Trial recessed for Memorial Day, red, white, and recriminations. I fled to the Indiana dunes. Sand gritty underfoot. Waves lapping like unanswered prayers. Eddie joined. Six-pack in hand. His trucker guts spilling over belt. "'Cause you're trending. Team Peyton versus Save Harlan. Twitter's a war zone. I scrolled. Memes of me as Lady Justice with a semi-trailer. Think pieces debating filial piety in the age of Me Too. What side you on? I asked. He cracked a beer. Yours.
But damn.
Pay the layoffs? My boys are hurting. Hurt. Echo of Mom's last words. Don't let him break you like he broke me. Back in the city, the tension snapped like a frozen branch. Dad's deal leaked, naming the mayor, but looping me in as unwitting participant. Unwitting? I'd sign the damn thing. Marcus scrambled injunctions. But the damage. Fed subpoenaed my phone records. Old texts to Dad pleading for cash. Looks bad, he admitted over dim sum in Chinatown. Like you knew. Knew?
Y de suspecta.
Buried it like Mom's truth. The antagonist in me, the vengeful daughter, recoiled. Flip, was I the mom now? Cunning with my leaks. Decisions dooming innocence? Climax brewed in a marathon session. Judges' chambers thick with cigar haze, off-record haggling. DA pushed for murder one. Whitaker for manslaughter. Time served.
Me?
Excluded. Pacing the hall like a caged wolf. Then Dad's gambit, a note smuggled via guard. Drop it all. I'll confess everything, frame. Funds. Ellen. But you walk away clean. No more blood.
Clean?
My hands were lakes of it. Workers' tears. Tara's shattered empire dreams. Controversial calculus. Save the man who birthed my hell. Or damn him for the greater good. I crumpled it. Stormed the chamber. No deals. Voices overlapped. Objections.
Gavels.
He's lying, I yelled. Always flips. The paternity? He knew. Used it to control. Chaos. Judge ejected me. But the seed sprouted. Jury deliberated 3 days. City on edge, bets in sportsbooks on guilty or hung. 4th day, verdict. Guilty on all embezzlement, fraud, involuntary manslaughter. 25 to life. Gallery erupted. I stood frozen as they let him out, his eyes locking mine, not hate, but hollow. Peyton whispered, lost in shouts.
Outside.
Rain lashed like judgment. Reporters swarmed. Regrets? Regret? A river. Empire auctioned. Jobs to a Chinese firm. Pension slashed. Tara vanished to Aruba with her cut.
Me?
Cleared. Richer in restitution. But poorer in peace. Twist whispered in therapy. Dad's final appeal, DNA retest. Faked by his team to prove paternity. By sympathy. But it backfired, exposed as fraud, adding perjury. He rots deeper now. Summer solstice. I stood at Mom's grave in Graceland Cemetery, fireflies winking like secrets. Vengeance tasted bittersweet, sweet for justice, bitter for the wake. America debates still. Podcast rants call me avenger or assassin.
Me?
I called my own lawyer. Not for suits, but starts a foundation for gaslit wives. Trucks hauling hope instead of hurt. Autumn crept in like a thief, leaves turning traitor gold along the North Branch, mirroring the rot I'd unearthed. Chicago's rhythm pulsed on, L trains rattling secrets. Hot dog stands slinging redemption in mustard form, but my world? A ghost town of what-ifs. Dad's conviction didn't end the flips. It amplified them. Echoes bouncing off Supermax walls in downstate Dixon. Letters arrived weekly. Smuggled past censors, first defiant, you owe me your life. Then pleading, family forgives. Finally fractured, who are you without me? I read them in diners off Halstead. Coffee going cold. Debating replies that never came. Burn them instead. Ashes scattering like misplaced trust. Publicly, I was Phoenix or Pariah, take your pick. Forbes profiled me as the queen of comeuppance, cover shot me striding the loop in power heels. Lake at my back like a conquered foe. But the comments? Venom. Spoiled brat tanks dad's dream. Dreams. Harlan's dreams starved families in Cicero. Kids on free lunch lines longer than his rig convoys. My foundation, Hail No More, launched with restitution bucks, counseling for coercion victims, legal aid for framed kin. First grant? To a Gary mom who'd pled out for her husband's Ponzi. Her hug at the check ceremony. Bone crush. Tear salt. Worth it? Hell yes. But nights. Doubt not, had I avenged Mom or atomized us all. Marcus warned of countersuits, class actions from laid-off Hale vets, claiming my witch hunt cost livelihoods. Settle quiet, he advised. Overstake at Gibson's. Rare as mercy. Quiet? My life's theme song was cacophony. Eddie flipped corporate, Amazon fleet manager now. Pocketing bonuses while old-timers picketed his yard. It's progress. Pay, he'd say. Eyes avoiding mine. Progress. Chinese owners slashing routes. Outsourcing to bots. One vet cornered me at a Bears tailgate. Your pop gave me 30 years. You gave me nothing. Nothing. Except a clearer ledger. Debts paid in full. The real tension simmered in Dad's appeal circus. Endless motions. Each a flip of the script. His pro bono crusader. A firebrand from the Innocence Project. Spun manslaughter as grieving widower's error. Error? Fentanyl swaps ain't typos. I attended one hearing. Uninvited spectator in the back. Air heavy with fluorescent buzz and bail bonds stink. Dad. Freilier in orange jumpsuit. Testified remote. Pixelated on screens. Voice crackling like bad reception. Peyton twisted it all, he claimed. Eyes drilling the feed. Sought revenge for imagined slights. The letters? Forgeries. Like her heart. Gasps. But nods too. Jury of his peers?
Nah.
Appeals panel. Suits starch stiff. Whitaker. Demoted to advisor. Crossfired. Mr.
Hale.
The DNA fraud, your idea? Dad's pause. Masterful. To protect her. From the pain of rejection. Rejection. The word landed like a gut shot. Gallery divided. A social worker weeping for abused daughter. A retired cop muttering con man's con.
Me?
I slipped out mid-recess. Pulse thundering. into a Clark Street downpour. Hailed a cab to Mom's old haunt, a Lincoln Park bookstore. Dusty tomes whispering forgotten truths. Curled in the mystery aisle. Gone girl mocking from the shelf. How far's too far in payback? Twist brewed there. Amid leather bindings and latte steam. A call from Ramirez. Peyton. Off record. Your dad's flipping final time. Wants to recant. Name you beneficiary in his will. But condition. You lobby for pardon.
Pardon?
For murder light. Fraud king? My laugh echoed hollow. Why me? Her sigh says you're the only blood that matters. Paternity hoax or not.
Blood.
The lie that birthed me. But in that bookstore hush, clarity cracked open. He wasn't flipping for freedom. For forgiveness. The ultimate mom, cunning to the grave. Decision dooming his pride. I mulled it over weeks. Leaves rotting to mulch underfoot. Foundation gala loomed. Art Institute redux. Chandeliers mocking last year's hell. Inviting golden boss, Peyton Hale. Note. I prepped the speech. Gratitude laced with grit. Tales of women rising from shadows. But en route, detour to Dixon visitor's booth. Plexiglass grimy as grudges. Dad shuffled in. Chains rattling like bad karma. Face etched deeper than worry lines. You came. Not a question. Statement smug. Talk, I said. Receiver cold against skin. His flip. The will. Sign off on the pardon push. It's yours, empire remnants. Yachts.
All.
Poison chalice. And Mom. He leaned in. Breath fogging glass.
Accident.
But if it haunts you, I'll say manslaughter intentional. 20 more years. Trade. His confession for my silence on appeal? Controversial calculus redux. Lock him longer. Or let him rot with a lie intact. Gallery? None. But America debate. Mercy for the maker. Or chains for the chainmaker. I hung up wordless. Drive back a blur of cornfields and conscience. Gala night. Gowns swirling. Donors toasting resilience. My keynote, raw. Unscripted. Betrayal's a thief. Steals your story. But revenge? It hands you the pen. Applause thundered. But midway, mic drop, tonight. I announce, petitioning for my father's commutation. Gasps swallowed cheers. Donors shifted, eddy. In the crowd. Face thunderstruck.
Why?
Twists gut punch, not absolution. Leverage. Pardon push exposes the mayor's full web, RICO takedown. Indictments raining. Dad confesses deeper in exchange. Burying his flips forever. Backlash hit dawn. Headlines heiresses heart or hustle. Protests swelled. Feminists decrying Stockholm. Unions praising second chances. Sides cleaved deeper. Am I redeemer or recycler of rot? Dad's response, a smuggled note post-gala. Knew you'd flip.
Proud.
The word curdled. But in the mirror next morning, eyes like Mom's, fierce. Fractured. I saw it. No one's all right or wrong. We're mosaics of messes. Payback the grout holding cracks. Winter wheeled in. Pardons pending. Foundation thriving. Terra surfaced, email apology. We were both pawns. I replied, nights now. Chicago's pulse? Steady. Unforgiving.
Me?
Walking the lake path. Snow-crunching confessions. I text Marcus. New case.
Pro bono.
A dad framing his son. Cycle breaks here. Or tries. Ending? Pick your poison. Happy and havoc wrought. Tragic in ties that bind tighter than law. Debate over IPAs. Hero's arc or villain's echo. The perfect surprise. It's us. All of us. Flipping till the final fade.